how to choose a Google Ads agency. Let me guess, you've run Google Ads, you've hired agencies in the past, and it's cost a lot of money. You're paying every single month and it's 3, 4 to 5 months before you even see results. And whatever results you get, there's no transparency about where those leads or sales came from or whether they did anything or nothing. Am I right? And you're sat here thinking, is Google Ads just a waste of money? And you're even questioning whether to turn it off completely. You think it's going to take too long to work. You think it's going to cost too much money. And then you're not even sure if it works because it's kind of magic. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Google Ads isn't the problem. It's an amazing system. The structure of the agency running it is usually the problem. So, in this video, I'm going to show you exactly what to look for when choosing a Google Ads agency. 5 things that actually matter. Now, fair warning, you're probably still going to go to the glossy agency, I know you lot. The shiny website, the white office, the agency where everybody's busy walking up a mountain in a promo video or doing something odd. You'll get burnt again, pretty sure of that, and then you'll come back to this video and think, yeah, John did say that. So, let's do this properly. If you're new here, I'm John Langley, founder of Click Convert Marketing. We're a specialist Google Ads agency. We run campaigns using our perfect repeatable ad system. My team has helped generate over 1.5 billion, a lot of zeros, in revenue for small and medium-sized businesses through Google Ads. And I know I haven't published a lot of videos since Christmas. Unfortunately, our Yorkshire Terrier of 16 years died, so it's really put a bit of an emotional spanner in the works. So let's get back into this. I've seen what works, and more importantly, I've seen what happens when things go wrong. And what goes wrong, it's almost the same sets of things. And in this video, I'm going to cover the 5 things. Why leadership matters more than anything else. Who actually needs to be on the tools working the computer. Why failure often matters more than success if you want success. Why serious agencies have a named, monitored system to deliver results. And why case studies are often more fairy tale than reality. But I'm also going to give you specific questions to ask any agency you speak to, because those questions will let you quickly decide whether you're dealing with a real specialist or just a marketing agency that happens to sell Google Ads as one of 15 services. So let's stick around as well, because there's another point that almost all businesses miss completely, and it's probably one of the most important. So, the biggest mistake businesses make isn't choosing the wrong agency, it's choosing the wrong type of agency. Most agencies find, and now, they like to call themselves Omnichannel agencies. We do loads of different services, put them all together, and we got control of everything. They offer everything: SEO, social media, web design, branding, content, email, and somewhere on the menu, Google Ads. Because if we control it all, we can merge it all together and get it all to work. Yeah. That model isn't necessarily bad, but it creates what's known in the trade as a structural weakness. Because in those agencies, Google Ads just becomes another department, just another service on the list. And that's where usually a deeper problem comes in. Those agencies tend to follow Google's recommendations without question, and we know what happens there. Google suggests something, they implement it. They will tell you, of course, we're following best practices. The problem is Google's recommendations don't always benefit you, the advertiser. Sometimes it will increase spend, sometimes it will expand automation in a way that you lose control, and often it just simply makes Google more money, not you. A specialist ads agency behaves differently, as you'd expect. They push back against those Google recommendations. They challenge the recommendations. They'll test them. Sometimes we end up ignoring them completely, because Google Ads agency's job isn't to keep Google happy. Their role is to protect your budget and get you results. And that difference really starts with leadership. Before price, before case studies, start with the leadership. Who runs the agency? Who is the actual founder? What is their core skill? Because agencies become what their leaders are. If the CEO is a creative, it's a creative agency. If they're SEO, it's an SEO agency. If they're a salesperson, they are very good at winning clients. I wish I was a bit more of a salesman at times. That doesn't mean they're good at running Google Ads though. You need a Google Ads first leader agency because Google Ads isn't branding, it isn't social media, it's odd. It's a technical auction platform somewhere between marketing and currency trading. And that's really a very rare skill set. Most of the people that go to university don't have that skill set. And this is something else, well rather there's something else most people don't think about. Large Google Ads accounts, the one you see the really glossy agencies run, they're the easiest accounts to run. Apple, there's no bad traffic. Everybody's a potential customer. Amazon, they sell everything. Any visitor may convert or probably does, but small, medium businesses that are ambitious don't have those advantages yet. Budgets are tight. Websites aren't perfect, as you probably know. Margins don't allow for wastage. Every click really matters to you. And that's why founders must have actually felt what it's like to run a Google Ads account on a tight budget in a real business that they own. Not somebody else's budget, their own. They need to have felt what it's like spending without getting the return you expected, the ROI. Experiencing high CPCs, wasted spend, cash flow pressures, payroll stress when the campaigns don't perform and just burn through budget and the payroll. Now, if an agency has only ever managed other people's money, they're not going to feel it the same way. It's abstract to them. And when your campaigns hit problems, and often they will, you'll need somebody who knows what that urgency feels like and how it shouldn't happen in the first place and it has to be fixed damn fast. Not somebody who just sends you a report saying, nah, performance isn't so great. So, big tip here. Go look at the LinkedIn profiles. I know they're often managed by staff, but they will tell you a little bit, not much, but they will tell you what their background's in. So you should be able to then figure out what that agency's skill set is. But also, maybe look at YouTube. YouTube perhaps is a far better window into who the founder actually is and how they think. You've got that from seeing me here. You know how I think. You know my type of real world type of approach to it, no BS. You know that about me. But if the agency you're looking at isn't on YouTube, ask yourself why. YouTube's the second largest search engine in the world now, and lots of ads on Google Ads now run on YouTube, and YouTube's a vital part of it. And if they're not on it themselves, that tells you something. Maybe they're not quite as on the curve as they make out. They're running behind the curve. They're not really there. They're not experiencing what YouTube can deliver. Now, one of the things that most businesses get completely wrong is they don't ask these questions. They never ask, who is actually inside my account working on it every week? Who's on the keys? The founder isn't doing the daily work if it's an agency above 5 people. They'll set the direction, they'll set the standards, they'll handle escalating problems, but somebody else is on the keyboard, on the tools, and here's the important thing. What does a great Google Ads operator actually look like? They're not typical marketeers. They're not these creative ones. They're analytical. They're often quiet. They're problem solvers. They love to solve problems. I love nothing more than solving problems. I love solving problems. And many have backgrounds in science, engineering, or forensics because Google Ads isn't creative marketing. It's much closer, as I've said many times, to currency trading. You're operating inside a live auction. Prices are moving up and down. Competitors are moving in and out of the market. Signals change. Well, let's be honest, signals, it'll be like, what's the weather doing? What's the seasons like? Are there any events like Easter coming up? Is the World Cup going to affect demand? all those signals. And the data is often incomplete. And you're working with only half the visibility, one hand always tied behind your back. And that's why ads can't be run by AI yet. Because the operator has to look at all the available evidence, spot patterns that aren't obvious yet, and make the right call. And that's not a marketing skill. That's a trading investigative skill that is really rare to find. And you must remember, the person on the keys must remember the number one rule: don't lose the capital. That's an investment, but in the case of Google Ads, it's don't waste the budget. So, be cautious of the loud, confident types in agency sales calls. That confidence can hide a lack of depth and experience. I'm not really being straight with you there. Overconfidence in an agency is a real killer, if I'm honest. Genuine Google Ads specialists, they're usually quite cautious because they do know how hard it is going to be to climb the mountain to get you results. So they don't promise early wins because they've seen what it actually takes. They know it's going to take a lot of work. So be aware of that one. Now, here's another structural problem that's widespread in omnichannel agencies. In many agencies, the person speaking to you is not the person on the keys doing the work. You have an account manager at the front, someone to charm you, tell you your ideas are fantastic, they're incredible, that's really insightful, I really like that idea. Blow smoke up your ass, as the guys in the California office say. But behind there, there's somebody else on the Google Ads team working away. And between the manager and the Google Ads guy on the keys, things get lost in translation. You know that. The person answering your questions isn't inside the data. Come on, they don't really have a clue. They're just finessing you. The person inside the data also isn't directly accountable to you. There's no pain for them, and it's a saying, no pain, no gain. But in a specialist agency where you work directly with the account manager doing the work, you review the results with them, they report directly to you, there's real fear of pain. They don't want you unhappy with them. That fear of you being unhappy with them, that pain creates a gain for you. There's nowhere to hide, and that pressure genuinely drives performance. And there's also something else happening across the industry at the moment. AI, as you know, is changing how Google Ads gets managed. But AI only works if you know how to ask the right questions. And I see this constantly. Someone tells me they tried ChatGPT, they've tried Gemini, they've tried Claude, and they can't get the answer. So there's me, I pick up the phone, open the app, ask it the question. I love speaking to the things I don't bother typing anymore. And you know my direct manager, and bang, I have the answer right there. Same tool, different questioning ability, and that question ability only comes from experience. So from actually working with Google Ads since 2006, I know what to ask. So you're looking for somebody like that. A lot of young account managers, they are bright, they're confident, they work genuinely hard, but they haven't yet lived the hard life it takes of years of working in Google Ads accounts. They haven't interrogated enough failing accounts yet. They haven't challenged enough assumptions. And that comes back to leadership, because if the leader is technical and obsessive, the culture spreads throughout the whole team. Here, all they talk about is Google Ads. They talk about football a bit and soccer, okay? But it's Google Ads between them, and they type of feed off each other, and we type of get an arms race in Google Ads knowledge. But if the founder is a creative or a salesperson, you don't get that. And you're losing out on that. So, I've got some questions, as I promised, for you to ask any agency. And these will tell you very quickly what you're dealing with. So question number one, what percentage of Google's recommendations do you typically ignore? If the answer is 0, Google's running your account, not the agency. And then ask them how they make the decisions, what they're going to ignore, and why they're going to ignore those recommendations from Google. Now, question number 2. If performance drops or doesn't improve, who takes responsibility and who can actually fix it? Listen carefully to the answer. Go back to LinkedIn, check out Who's going to fix the problem? So look at that one. Question 3. God, I'm not really good with my fingers. If something goes seriously wrong, can the founder, the CEO, personally go into that Google Ads account and fix it? What's the reaction? Because in many agencies, the CEO is a salesperson or a creative. They couldn't fix a complex Google Ads account if their life depended on it. Think about that. Question number 4. Is the managing director, the CEO, the founder, the most technically experienced Google Ads person in the agency? Because if the answer is no, and someone escalates the problem, there's nobody above the account manager who can solve the problem. Oh, I know, you're going to be told we've got a paid search director. Great news on that one. But agency life is hard. The lifespan in an agency is approximately 18 months for a member of staff. Most do 2 to 3 terms at different agencies before moving in-house for the easier life. That means most senior problem solvers are likely to move on in the time you're with the agency. It's even more likely that you'll be with the agency longer than the staff at the agency. So finding very senior Google Ads staffs where the buck stops with them is a very hard thing to do for an agency. And that's why you need a dependable problem-solving leader to keep consistency to drive results for you. Now, question 5. Did you train the specialist to be working on my account here, or did they come from another agency? Because if they came from somewhere else, ask who that was and who trained them. And then, ask yourself the next obvious question. Why wouldn't I just go to the other agency, the agency that you poached that member of staff from? Now, this is important. I've trained over the years hundreds of Google Ads managers and mentored over 1,000 businesses in Google Ads. And the number one reason staff move on, besides money, it's the old work-life balance thing that they're all keen on these days. They want to work less on client accounts and they want to do less work. So are you really just overpaying them? So how about you nip over to LinkedIn and find out who that guy is that's going to be working on the account, where did he come from, and are they actually the smart agency? A quick LinkedIn search may reveal where those staff came from and the actual agency that really does know Google Ads. Now, here's an important part. Go ask those questions, ask your current agency, ask any agency you're considering. And if they answer confidently, specifically, then in fairness, you're probably in good hands. But if the answers are vague, defensive, or sound like marketing lingo or language or trying to fluff you, then you've learned something very important. And if that happens, come back here and request an audit. We love audits. No pitch, no pressure. We'll simply show you what's happening inside your account, and then you can make a decision. We're all adults. Anyway, let's go back to this. Everybody always asks about successes you had. And that's the wrong question you need to ask an agency. You need to ask something else. You need to ask about failure. Because only once you've felt failure and real pressure and you've had to work hard to turn something around to survive, then that's how you get success. And if you're not careful, your agency isn't going to fight hard enough to get you the success you want. I love Formula One. If you look at McLaren and Formula One, in 2019, McLaren had no sponsors, no dominance. Now they're world champions. Success, and you know this, doesn't look like success. That's a fantasy. And any agency claiming an unbroken run of wins is either cherry picking history, or hasn't been doing this long enough to hit serious problems. Branson's failed. We all know Elon nearly lost Tesla, and Amazon nearly collapsed with Bezos. Failure teaches you how to recognize problems early and fix them. It forces you to build systems so those mistakes never happen again. And in my case, I learned Google Ads because I had no choice. I had an agency running my account. I had a business that was failing because of the amount of money that was being wasted on Google Ads. And I knew I had to fix it. And I figured out how to cut the cost of Google Ads. And I had to do it just to survive. I cut them. This is genuinely true. In 2010, I cut the Google Ads bill for my business at the time by 60%. That knowledge became the foundation of this agency. I combined how to fix Google Ads with like the E-Myth, the world famous book. They have mentoring courses there, and I was doing it at the time. So I combined that with how to fix Google Ads and Google mentoring. And it was a revolution at the time. And we founded the whole Google Ads mentoring industry back in 2010. So if an agency can't talk openly about their failure, they probably haven't experienced enough of it. And agencies that haven't experienced failure haven't been tested enough, and they won't be able to fix problems when they come out. They lack the experience. So before results, also ask about their systems, because you're going to need a system to make sure you don't make those mistakes. Once you've got wins, you need to be able to repeat those wins perfectly. You've got to be able to build perfect repeatable systems that ad managers can follow. It's no accident, and you know this is true, that Five Guys can produce such great burgers repeatably. They've got a system. You cannot pin your hopes and dream on an heroic chef at Five Guys and a heroic account manager with your Google Ads. Because anyone that can say they have a process, it really means honestly nothing. A real system that really works has a name, it has defined stages, it has monitoring, it has management controls, oversight and quality assurance. In our case, our system is called Perfect Repeatable Ads, and it has 3 stages. I've talked about these a lot and show you, stop, we understand your business, the gap between where you are, where you want to be, the market, we fix tracking, and we fix the bleed in your account. And then we roll into stabilize, our forensics 360 approach, look at the account, the market, and then we create your 360 capital strategy, and we build that into your accounts, and we start the performance build out. And then finally, the 3rd stage is we scale. We max out all the winners in the account. We start scaling, and we create repeatability. Now that's a system I can explain, and they have to have a system they can explain, one they can walk you through, one that can be monitored. Because monitoring is the critical part most people overlook. Every account manager drifts. They get busy, they miss checks, search terms come in, negatives aren't done, tracking breaks quality, performance slides before anybody notices. And one of the biggest reasons Google accounts fail isn't bad strategy, weirdly. It's really simple. The account manager just doesn't do the work. There might be a checklist somewhere. Oh, we've got those SOPs. Don't like that term. It's like a generic whitewash term. But if an account isn't monitored, enforced by the leadership, and quality checks made to make sure work's actually done it, then the performance slowly falls away. And when you're evaluating an agency, you don't just want to ask, hey, have you got some processes? Have you got some SOPs? Ask, what's that process called? Ask to see the diagram that explains it. Ask how they monitor it. Ask what happens when something falls below the standards. And if they can answer those questions, clearly, great system. If they can't, their process are just BS dressed up as a process. Now, finally, case studies. My pet hate. The internet has moved from grabbing attention, and it's increasingly moving to credibility. So you need to see how credible your agency is. So to do this, everybody is publishing case studies to prove they're worth trusting. And I understand why you look for them. You want evidence, you want reassurance, but here's the thing. Case studies are very carefully crafted stories. And I'll give you a real example. As you know, I work with a company called Kettlebell Kings. Not Kettlebell Kings, Kettlebell Kings. When we started out with them, they were operating from a kitchen, and they grew to be an Inc. 500 company in America. And they were used as a case study by Google's CEO to Congress. And there's an awful lot of case studies about them and the success we created for them. Anyway, I came across a case study from a large, credible San Francisco marketing SaaS company. Yeah, it begins with a bit of a S. Anyway, they claimed they'd increased Kettlebell's conversion rate by 300%. And I thought, that's odd. I haven't seen that in the account. So, nipped into Google Analytics. That 300% improvement happened on one single day in the 6 months that they used the service. One day. The rest of the time, it was flat. There was no change at all. But that case study made it look like this service had delivered them a breakthrough result. And This was a very credible company that did the case study. So take case studies with a healthy pinch of salt. Nobody publishes their mediocre accounts, their mediocre case studies. And many agencies really only publish case studies for clients they no longer work with because, come on, let's face it, you don't want competitors going after your best new clients that you've got results for, do you? So what you often see are highlights of past relationships, not the reality of current work. So let's do something else instead. Let's go back to the fundamentals. Who's the captain? Who's on the tools? Have they experienced failure? Has that failure led to them to make systems that are named, monitored systems that ensure perfect, repeatable results? If you get those 4 points right, the results tend to follow in most cases. Case studies are the gloss. They're just spin and hype, a comfort blanket for you to hold on to. Those other points, leadership, who's on the keys, failure, structure, they are the substance. Great, so if you watched this far and you're now questioning whether your current agency could answer those questions and you're questioning the performance you're getting at the moment too, then that instinct is worth listening to. Go down below, request a Google Ads audit, okay? There's no sales pitch, there's no pressure. We'll show you what's working inside your account, why it's wasting money if they are wasting money, and what the real opportunity looks like for you, and is it possible for you to scale and fulfill that ambition that you have. After all, you do deserve success, you just may not have got the right team on board yet, because Google Ads isn't magic, but it does require the right leadership, the right operators, and the right system. If you found this useful, like and subscribe to the channel, that would be a great help, guys. Most of what I publish here is about running Google Ads properly for small to medium ambitious brands that want to scale and they want to avoid the mistakes that quietly drain budgets without anybody noticing. So I hope this genuinely helps you. Anyway, I will see you on the next one.